Welcome to the Sales Whisperer podcast, where you can convert with content. Welcome, everybody, to the 29th edition of the Sales Whisperer podcast. Today, we've got Jason Clegg, a lifetime entrepreneur. He got his start in college selling textbooks, and he realized being an entrepreneur is what he is good at and what he wants to do. So he followed his dreams, and that is what he is up to now. We'll talk about his website, Convert with Content, and jasonclegg.com. You know, that's what got my attention was when I ran across his website, Convert with Content. I'm always a sucker for the written word and people that promote marketing, good marketing through good content. We talked a little bit about SEO and the gamesmanship that people are trying to do, but slowly losing that battle, which is a good thing for all of us. So without further ado, and again, you'll hear my droning voice. I don't know why. One day I will remember. You know, I go weeks of getting it right, and then one time I do 2 interviews in a day, and I got the little deep voice going with the microphone. But oh well, still a good interview. Enjoy. Jason Clegg, welcome to the Sales Whisperer podcast, man.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
So, a little short intro, a little bio on you, but for those that do not know you, and honestly, I don't know you that. I saw you online. I was stalking you virtually. I saw that you're an Infusionsoft user, so that's a good thing too. I have my ways. Don't ask me how I know that. But give everybody a quick overview of who you are and what makes you tick.
Sure. Well, I mean, at heart, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been doing the entrepreneurship thing for 10 or 11 years now. I started my first business selling used textbooks back before it was commonplace to have an online business. Uh-huh. I put myself through college doing that, and then went on to sell that business when I completed my studies and decided that the part I loved the most about business was marketing, and that I wanted to be a marketing consultant, and I wanted to help people in that capacity, and I wanted to have a business that had, you know, gave me the ability to be mobile, and I didn't have to have inventory. When you're selling textbooks online, you've got thousands of books piled up in every corner. I had a really large extra room in a house I was renting in college, running this whole operation, and so that's kind of how I got started in what I do today, and now I really focus on my primary project, which is convertwithcontent.com. And, we provide consulting and training and services for people to be more successful with promoting their small business online using, what I describe as convert with content style marketing practices. So
what is that? Because honestly, that's what got attention when I saw your website name. I'm a big writer, big content self. I'm always arguing with my team, like, write shorter stuff. And I write short stuff when I do, right, when it's appropriate. But, I like the old Howard Luckett, people will read what interests them. Sometimes it's an ad.
Right.
And so I'm a big writer. So what is this convert with content style marketing to which you refer?
Yeah, so there's so many different ways to describe what it is, but if I have to really nail it down and give it in a nutshell, if you will, I would say that the primary idea behind convert with content style marketing is the idea that you should be providing value to your prospects and customers in the form of as many different types of content as possible. So different media, different messages, but at the core of what you're doing, you should always be providing value and trying to serve as a resource, even for someone who's still trying to make a decision about whether or not they want to do business with you. So we really believe that businesses don't grow and become great businesses unless they can attract lifetime customers. And they can really, I'm sure this is something that your listeners have heard you talk about before, but we really believe in the concept of lifetime customer value. So we help people understand how to acquire prospects that they can turn into buyers, that they can then turn into lifetime customers and raving fans, because that's what world-class businesses are built on. So if I have to really narrow it down, I would say it's this message, that you're doing convert with content style marketing when your marketing does not feel like marketing. There's the big aha moment.
But here's the but. You ready for the but? Here comes the but.
I'm ready.
It takes a while to get to that point, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't just come naturally to a lot of people. I've got a lot of listeners that are maybe still in corporate America trying to figure out how to escape. Maybe they're still in America and just want to do better, but it may, a lot of times, sales and marketing is work for the typical entrepreneur. So how does somebody get to that point where it doesn't feel like marketing, doesn't feel so hard?
I think you have to find the core message behind what it is you do as a business. So whatever you're providing, a product or service. And the first question you should be asking yourself is, what is it that I'm really solving? What is the core issue? So, for us in our business, people come to us because they want services or they want help with their marketing, but that's not really what they want. What they really want is attached to something much deeper. And in our case, it's, people want freedom. They want an ultra successful business that gives them that freedom and to do whatever they want, whether it's having lots of money or the ability to travel the world, or a business that runs itself while they can get back to spending time with their family and friends. So I think you can, if you need to start there, applying that concept to your own business and thinking about your customers and whatever you're selling. It's, this is the classic marketing expression. I'm sure you've heard this before. People don't buy the drill. They buy the hole in the wall. And that's exactly how you should approach what you're doing in your business. And that's the best place to start when you start thinking about your messaging.
So trying to figure out what is that hole in the wall?
Exactly. Trying to figure out where your customers' true desires actually exist. And of course, when you're creating powerful marketing messages, you want to come at it from lots of different angles. So sometimes you do want your messaging to be kind of superficial and really talking about the features and benefits of the drill that you're selling. But I think that your story, the convert with content style stuff that you create, needs to constantly come back to the hole in the wall, because that, again, is what the customer really, really wants.
So do you help entrepreneurs, business, you help them figure that out? Do you just do it for them? I mean...
Well, we've been in some transitions for a while, trying to adjust our business to sort of feed as many people as possible. And what we've realized is some people really just need training and help. So we're actually in the process right now of developing a series of training programs that people can buy from us to learn how to implement these kinds of systems themselves. Because we realize that a lot of business owners, they can't afford the kind of really high quality marketing services that it's better for them to just do it themselves or do it in-house. And they just need to know what the steps are and to get better as a copywriter, or to understand what essential things they need to know about SEO. So our real core focus is, we're web marketing experts, but convert with content really can be extended beyond that. So for example, we have our own 8-page print newsletter that we send out in the actual mail, believe it or not, every month. And we encourage our customers to use the same kind of marketing medium in their business. So, although we focus a lot on the online stuff, we really help people understand how to use their website to capture more leads and then turn those leads into, as I said before, buyers, lifetime customers, and raving fans.
So what are some common mistakes you see always making?
I'm glad you asked that, because that's where the conversation always begins. The first thing at Convert with Content, the first thing we give people is a report that I wrote that's called The 7 Massive Mistakes in Website Marketing. And so people are making lots of mistakes, and we really try to help them understand where they are and what kinds of major mistakes they might be making. But if I had to isolate just one or maybe a few right now, when it comes to websites, the biggest mistake people are making out there is they're treating their website kind of like a slot machine, or they're kind of trying to find this way to beat the system or manipulate Google. And, we talk to people every day because, again, we also provide marketing services. And the one of the first conversations we often have with small business people about their website is, oh, well, how can you help me with SEO? And, of course, what they're really saying, if we get back to this drill versus the hole-in-the-wall thing, is what they really want is their website to show up at the top of Google, Yahoo, Bing, and every possible search engine. And
well, I've been promised I can be on number 1 for 27 search terms. You can do that, right?
Right. And that is exactly where the conversation begins. If you read my newsletter, you'll find out how much I really loathe the SEO industry, and I do because I think that they really prey on small business owners, and they know that the average small business owner doesn't have a massive marketing budget, and so they develop some SEO program for them that includes a lot of really old school strategies that are actually hurting most people more than they're helping. So there was a time, and again, I've been at this for a long time, but there was a time when those kinds of strategies really did work. And, you could build thousands of really easy backlinks and hire a company in India or China, and you could get to the top of Google really easily. And those days are over. So, that's usually where our conversation starts, depending on where people are. I'm sure your listeners are a really well-educated audience, especially about web stuff. But you'd be surprised. A lot of people are definitely still thinking exactly what you just said. You guarantee I can get to the top for these 27 search terms. And instead, what we do is try and open up the conversation to, let's talk about how you can provide value so that Google begins to recognize you and your business as an authority, so we can help you get loads of traffic from lots of different unexpected places, including trying to move towards the top on those really, really hot keyword phrases that you're after.
Right. And that's really changing now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's November 26, 2013, we're recording this, and just last month or two, didn't Google come out with their changes about not showing keywords? I mean, it's like people are really getting scared that have been gaming the system, because it really is over the old school way.
Exactly. I describe this as the old SEO versus the new SEO. I mean, I'm not against SEO. Obviously, getting to the top is good, but what I am against is this idea that there's some formula you can follow that generate that doesn't involve adding value. And so we try to help people move past that way of thinking and stop thinking of your website as some billboard that you can somehow pay a company to move in front of millions of people by getting you to the top of Google tomorrow. This is a process, and you want to think about your website and every piece of content that you add to your site and that you're distributing on social channels. All of these pieces of content need to be created with care, and you need to be thinking about them as long-term assets.
Very interesting. My last interview I just published yesterday was with Trent Dearson. So he's an Infusionsoft guy as well. But he talked about that. He and I both grew up cold calls in the 90s, and he talked about how blogging and content is an asset, and that's what he called it. Because at the end of the day of making cold calls, you have an asset. even if you made sales, you got to make another sale tomorrow. So that's a good word you use there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer that your customer is your greatest asset, and that your job as a business owner is really to acquire customers that you can build relationships with, and the only way you can build a relationship is with content. And every business is different, so you should always be thinking about, are webinars right for me? Are teleseminars right for me? Articles, blog posts, videos, press releases. What is the best way to engage your audience? Social media channels, and obviously you should be promoting yourself on social media channels, but how can you actually engage with people, and what are the best social networks for you to build those relationships and to find the best prospects? And, to bring it all around back to Infusionsoft, and when we start to get to that level, we can begin to talk about things I'm sure you know a lot about. I've been getting the weekly whisper for a long time. And, things like lead source tracking can really help you understand where you're getting the most results with your content marketing.
Do you find it's hard for most folks? It's hard for me, and I'm a typical entrepreneur. But you find it hard. They find it hard to track all the analytics. I mean, I blow and go, man. And finally I've got a team. Got a good team that's cleaning up the mess in my wake and righting things up. But man, I would look at it. I don't know, study it. Every now and then I'd either retain somebody or a friend would come help, and we'd buckle down. Kind of like doing taxes, right? Once or twice a year, they'd force me to sit and look at the numbers. But do you have tips on that? How can people more time on their analytics?
Yeah, it is tough. I think like everything in business and in life, you have to figure out, the sort of 80-20 rule and determine what things need to be on your calendar and need to be treated as sacred places on your calendar. So I think that's about, and the same rule applies to creating content, creating an editorial calendar, creating a web marketing tracking calendar. Even if you can just put something on your calendar for once a month or once a quarter where you sit down and review the stats. And I think you have to know where you are in your business. Some businesses are just really trying to push to get more results, and they're in heavy growth mode. And, it's not that maybe you just started using a tool like Infusionsoft, and so you need to wait, 6 months or a year before you can actually get value from your analytics. But at least every quarter, you should be spending a few hours, head down to your favorite Starbucks, or if you're here in California, we love Coffee Bean, wherever you like to go, and just park yourself with a latte and make a ritual out of going through your analytics.
Can I do it over a gin and tonic?
Sure, that's fine too. If you have a favorite bar you like,
but
as long as there's Wi-Fi required.
Limit it to maybe only 2 or 3, unless the numbers are unless they're bad, then 4 or 5.
Yeah, depending on what kind of sales results you're getting, you may want to have a 2-drink minimum.
All right.
Or maximum.
Yeah. So, all right. So analytics. I at your site right now, you mentioned your 8-page newsletter. I love your 2-step opt-in. Can you share with us your reasoning and your execution on the 8-page newsletter, actually doing a 2-step opt-in? I mean, how is that working for you? How is the printed newsletter working?
Yeah, good questions. When we started doing a print newsletter and I made that decision, for a long time I thought about, well, should we charge for this? How can we make this work? And we happen to have a really great partnership with a printing company that we do some work for, and they actually print our newsletter for us for free because we do a little extra work for them every month on one of their service plans. So we lucked out in that case. Like for me, printing a newsletter, I look at it as an opportunity to put another piece of another piece of content in your physical space every month, and to build that relationship and that authority with you as either my prospect or my customer even stronger. And I think it was just a speed of implementation decision, really. It was, let's not worry about the cost, because even if we were paying for this, the hard costs on putting together a print newsletter are not as expensive as people think. And I'm a real believer in ROI, and I think every business owner should be, but I think sometimes people, they think that their email marketing, for example, is free, or it's only as expensive as the tool they're paying for. But when you think about, not doing things like a print newsletter, you're sort of missing out on opportunities that are costing you in other ways. So you have to think about, I think there are only certain types of businesses that can really pull off the print newsletter. But if you have a lot of content to share with your clientele, if you're selling sophisticated products and services, a print newsletter is an excellent way to engage with people. And surprisingly enough, a lot of our marketplace are, they really respond very well to print, almost more so than email. And print, you can't just reach up with your index finger and press the delete key on a print newsletter. I mean, people have to physically take it and throw it away, and there's a little bit of, there's a little bit to that. So when people get our print newsletter, it stays in their space. We get emails about it. People thank us. They look forward to it. And it helps us keep the conversation going. And I think it also strengthens the efforts of all of our other marketing, webinars and email. And it's just getting in front of people. I think it's so important. And there are so few people, so few businesses that are actually using print, and whether effectively or even at all. I think you don't have very much to lose. I mean, that's a challenge I would make for your listeners for 2014 is crunch the numbers and throw a print newsletter together. Start writing your first issue now and plan to do at least the first quarter of 2014, with your own print newsletter. But to answer your question about the Infusionsoft thing, we do see this two-step process works very well. I'm a big fan of two-step, even three-step lead capture, first name and email. And then what we found is if you don't fill out that second form, then we instantly know what kind of a prospect you are.
Oh, so is that a nice way of saying loser?
Right. And then we have other strategies. We follow up, obviously, with people who don't fill out that form, and we get a really high conversion rate when we follow up with them, because sometimes people don't really understand what the value of it is until we send them an email about it with a different image of the print newsletter and kind of explain what it is. And maybe at that point they've watched one of our videos and they like what we have to offer. And so, but getting your customer's email is one step. Getting their address, that's another step in the relationship. And you really can, I think you have to chunk it down, and you have to think about prospecting in that step-by-step process and give your customers an opportunity to understand why they should do every single thing you're asking them to do. So, here's why I need your email, and here's why I need your address, and now here's why you need to buy this product. And I think when you start to stage things out like that, you get better conversions.
Oh, I've done newsletters in the past and firing them up again. I started out very simply. Fortunately, I'm on a Mac. There's some cool little programs like Swift Publisher. It's a $20, $30 program. I would make it on 11 by 17, fold it over, and boom, we got a 4-page newsletter. Are you doing something like that simple?
We actually put a lot of time into ours, and we print it on a high gloss style paper. It's got kind of a magazine feel to it.
Okay.
We work with a graphic designer she doesn't work in our offices, but it's someone we've worked with for a long time, and she manages it for us every month and charges us a small fee to do that, and we just fill it with content. And so, it is a process, and I have an employee here on our team that it's one of her projects. She's in charge of making sure that all the content gets in there, and the graphic designer gets the layout right, and everything is ready to go on time for printing. And it is much different than email you can just sort of whip up and throw together, but there's so much value in doing it. But if you're speed of implementation. So if that kind of production level is a major hurdle to you in your business, then I do think that there's still a lot of value in just printing up something simple that's low cost and low time consumption.
Oh, but Jason, I don't have a graphic designer, and I don't have somebody that can write, and I've never been good at writing. And can you hear the wine? Let me get some cheese with this wine. So what do you tell the whiners?
Well, whiners are whiners. And the flip side of that is, if we're going to apply this in a marketing context, buyers are buyers. So that's what I would say to you is, if you're serious about your business and you're serious about your marketing, then you will do what it takes. I mean, we could have that same exact conversation about your website and putting a website together in the first place. And we do a lot of blog management for clients, and we have that conversation a lot. Well, I know blogging works, but I don't have a blog. And, same thing with just getting a website up in the first place is, well, okay, we got to talk about hosting, and we've got to talk about getting some design together, and maybe you're going to use WordPress or something else. And so, yeah, this, welcome to the 21st century of business. There's so much media to manage, and the bad news is the barrier to entry to business today is a lot lower than it's ever been in history, which means you've got more competitors than ever before. The good news is 99.99% of your competition is not going to be willing to go the extra mile to provide more content in yet another media channel. And if you can do that and beat them to the punch, then your business is going to grow faster and last longer.
Right.
So, we can whine about working out. Believe me, I do that all the time. But I know that I have a choice to make. I'm either going to, end up, fat and miserable on my sofa, or I'm going to just power through and do what it takes. And if it were easy and simple, everyone would be ultra successful in business.
Right. So I'm the cowboy up, huh?
Exactly. I think we all need a little cowboy up every once in a while.
Well, and I haven't used PCs much in a long time, but I mean, I wrote a nearly 700-page Infusionsoft on Apple's word processing application pages, right? And I do a good-looking newsletter on Swift Publisher. Like I said, it was $20-$30. Had to learn it a little, but it was not very hard. But even a simple, rudimentary, do it on Word, do it on Microsoft Publisher, that's all you've got. There's a lot of online now with Open Office and Google Docs. You can make a decent looking newsletter and, export it to a PDF, send it to a printer, and, boom. Just, like Trent said the other day, version 1 is better than version none.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to implement, and, this is advice that we all need to hear every day when we wake up in the morning and you're sipping that first cup of coffee. It's definitely true. Version 1 is way better than version none, and, stop the whining and produce something, because, we occasionally get critiques on our emails or on our print newsletters, or sometimes people catch a typo here and there, and you can choose to let those things deter you, or you can choose to power forward and realize that you're going to make mistakes. And, one of my favorite thinkers, Dan Kennedy, is famous for describing what he calls the GE spot. And the GE spot, of course, stands for good enough. And I think you need to find the GE spot in every part of your business, because if you don't, you'll be stuck with the zero spot, and that's not going to do anything for you. So I completely agree. You need, if you want to produce a print newsletter, you can do it this month right now with the level of word processing applications and software programs, and all this stuff is on your iPad now. There's no excuse, and you could literally print out 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 copies depending on the size of your list. Go make your photocopies at the Staples or wherever, whatever you need to do, and pack it and print it, and you're done.
Right. Get her done.
Yeah, it sounds like a broken record, I know, but it really is that simple.
Yeah, you just got to get started. I found typos, errors, duplicates, like in my first book, every time. I think I may have sent 2 weekly whispers that didn't have a typo. And read that thing, I'll literally send it to myself 8 or 10 times. And rework something, tweak a link, add a space, and I'll send it. My wife will walk, oh, hey, honey, did you just send that? I'm like, she's not coming in to tell me it was fantastic and tell me there's a typo. It's like, good grief. But, you got to send it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because something I want to point out really quickly about creating content or creating marketing messages for your business is, be very careful the people that you show these things to. If, for example, if you're thinking about starting a print newsletter or starting email marketing even, and you kind of take your first message or your first newsletter and show it to your buddy or your spouse, and, remember that the person you're showing it to, if it's someone close to you, family or friend, they're probably not your target market. And their response is going to be based on who they are, and they may or may not have any context for what it is you're selling. So keep that in mind, that often the criticism we get from people close to us, they don't really have a context for understanding the messages. And most of your customers, they are dying to hear from you. And they are not going to stress out about a missing comma or a misspelling in the third paragraph in the same way that your, sister-in-law who has an English degree is probably going to do. And you need both types of criticism. You need people who understand what your goals are in marketing, and you also need people who can help you with mechanics, because mechanics are important. You want to appear professional, but keep that distinction in mind. It's really important.
Yeah, that's a great point, because you're right. I share it with my mom, my wife, for proofreading, right? Because they are not my targets. And sometimes, if they're a little squeamish on something, because sometimes I can be a little edgy, and I go, all right, you're right, I'll tone it down. Sometimes I'm like, no, damn it. That's the point I want to make, and I'll leave it in. And, you've got to follow that little voice, that intuition. You know what you got to get across. And, I always say, if you don't piss somebody off by noon, marketing.
And I think depending on the type of business you're in, it's really important to be true to who you actually are.
Right.
And, for example, for you, you have a persona that people resonate with the Sales Whisperer business, and, some of the references that you make. And as long as you're being authentic to who you really are, and if you and I sat down and had lunch or dinner or drinks together, and I would feel like I'm just talking to you and getting to know who you are, that's so important, because that's what your customers really want.
Right.
They don't, unless you're running a grammar, a copy editing business or something where, these little details are super important. Obviously, if you're running a graphic design business, then every element of your design needs to be important. But forget about all those details if that's not the kind of business you're in, and focus on the message that your customers really want.
That's why I'm not in the grade school. That was 4 toughest years of my life was 8th grade. So, man, I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Got to teach sales and marketing, baby. can have some error. Well, very cool, man. What is the best way for people to reach? I know you've got your website, right? Jason Clegg, and it's Clegg, JasonClegg.com.
That's right.
And earlier you mentioned convertwithcontent.com, right?
That's right.
Okay. And then can they find you, all your social media connections there, Twitter, et cetera?
That's right. Everything is there. If you want to connect with me on social media, just go to convertwithcontent.com, head over to our blog. You'll see that in the navigation bar on the website there, and check out some of our blog posts. And on the blog, we really feature all of our social media channels and stuff, so you can connect with us on social media. And yeah, make sure you sign up and download our free report. You also get access to a free video training series, which is really cool, and I walk you through some of our essential concepts of Convert with Content style marketing, and you know, again, we practice what we preach. So when you do sign up on the site, you do get that opportunity that Wes mentioned to get our free monthly print newsletter and the free training series, as well as our free 7 Massive Mistakes in Website Marketing ebook.
So who's your ideal client? Is it like the Infusionsoft kind of user, a small privately held business? Are you looking for bigger businesses or what?
You know, in terms of ideal, it's definitely someone who's using Infusionsoft, because we do provide, you know, at the highest end of our services, when you're actually working directly with me. My wife, Stephanie, is kind of our social media guru, and you work with both of us, and that's the highest level of service that we provide. A customer who's running Infusionsoft and just needs full-blown support and service for everything that they're doing, from running their blog to their social media to getting their Infusionsoft to a higher level, a more sophisticated level, and helping them turn their website into a lead generation machine and, you know, get all their back-end email marketing and other marketing channels in place. Okay.
Very nice. Well, any parting words for our listeners?
Well, I guess at this point, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. I don't know at what point people are actually going to, probably after Thanksgiving, they'll be hearing this, but happy holidays. And, you know, remember 2014, maybe you're listening to this right before the new year or right after. But, you know, I love to look at the new year as an opportunity to rethink your business and think about what your key goals are, and think about marketing channels that you're overlooking and how you can really step it up and make sure things take off in your business in the year ahead.
And they can do that with your free printed newsletter.
Yes,
nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very cool. Thank you for taking the time, Jason. And I will have the links to your website, your Twitter, everything on the, this will be session, 20. So saleswhisper.com/session 29 to listen to this podcast and get all the notes. So thanks for making the time, Jason.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Did you catch that point early in the conversation when he talks about you need to find the core message behind what you do as a business? What is it you're really solving, right? What is that core issue? Because when people come to you, they do not truly understand their needs and the ramifications of their problems. If they did, they would have already solved them. Okay, so it's your job to address that, address the big elephant in the room, and then dig deep. Continue asking why? Why is that important? How did that get there? Tell me more. Please elaborate to really get down to understanding the core. And the client must understand and admit, A, that they have a problem, B, that it's a big problem, and C, you need to make them put a dollar value on that so they will then see the value and the wisdom in investing a little bit of that with you to solve that problem. You know, so check out jasonclegg.com, Clegg. He's got a great report, The 7 Massive Mistakes in Website Marketing. Understand also, I love the fact we were talking about SEO. Too many people have been trying to game the system. And all these years, my SEO has not been hurt. At least my rankings have not been hurt, which really is an SEO function, because I've always written good content. I've always written with the reader, the consumer, in mind. I have followed some best practices so my content would get indexed, but I never overdid it. I always wrote with the client in mind first, went back later and adjusted a little bit for SEO. So focus on giving value. Like he says, find the GE spot, the good enough. Too many people suffer that businesses fail really because of failure to launch. Failure to launch a new idea, a new website, a new program, a new marketing campaign. Get it out there, okay? Sure, it's nice if it's perfect. Sure, it's nice to put out this great quality marketing piece and even content. But if you're not launching because you're trying to get perfect, just hit publish. Just hit send, okay? Get the word out. So as usual, thank you for listening. You can check this out at thesaleswhisper.com/session 29 to read the notes, see the links. Please leave a comment for Jason and me on Twitter, as well as on the blog itself and on iTunes. And as I'm recording this, it's Monday, December 2nd, 2013. Getting solar installed. So if you hear any banging in the background, that's the dudes up on the roof. But as you're listening to this live or, in real time, have a Merry Christmas. Be sure to give thanks for everything you've got right now. And even when you listen to this after Christmas, be sure to give thanks for what you have. We live in a great world. We live in a great country. Lots of opportunity, and the only limit is yourself. And I hope this podcast helps you overcome those limits and reach your dreams. Good selling.